Again. Hey everybody, welcome back to the DangerNaak podcast. I'm your host Acronym, and today we got the first ever back-to-back guest and still guest, Safia Ghouse.
What up everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the DangerNaak podcast. In this episode, we're going to be breaking down our experience at UFC 322 in the Big Apple.
Back-to-back UFC podcast. It's only like this because I was busy and or lazy to do any other podcasts in between. So there should have been some movie podcasts in between these episodes, but here we are. But she has now, since the last podcast, has surpassed me in MMA, UFC, fighting knowledge. She knows everybody. She knows all the moves, all the fighting styles, everything. At this point now, I'm a casual.
Yeah.
So I will now be deferring to her as the expert, and we'll see how you take us through this podcast and what insights you have in the last few months since the last episode.
So I would say that training's going pretty well. Like, I'm kind of at that stage where, like, I'm learning a lot because we're going consistently, like, every single week. And most of the time I'm going about, I'd say 5 times a week on average. But the classes that I'm taking for like Muay Thai, especially for Muay Thai and boxing, there are a lot of beginners that do cycle in the class. And I think after 4.5 months of consistent training that, I am looking for a little bit more of personalized training. Just because when beginners do join the class, they kind of have some, they're kind of struggling with like holding the pads right, or, like what 1, 2, what a jab and a cross is. And sometimes I'm kind of like, I'm there to improve myself and get better. So I'm looking for a little bit more of an advanced or a little bit more advanced training. So that's why I'm kind of like at that point where I'm like, okay, I really want to have a good balance between training and then like weight training and martial arts training just to get more stronger and efficient. But what would you say like your experiences so far, and how has your training been going?
I would say that I still, in my brain, feel like a beginner. And I'm kind of also thinking of it in the way that I'm enjoying this process of being a beginner. It makes me feel happy and less, I guess, stressed with the responsibility of having to know something. I can still get away with not knowing anything, and I'm still having a good time. Whereas once you get to blue, like for jiu-jitsu example, once you get to blue, purple, and brown, and obviously black belts, there is an expectation of how you should be performing.
Yeah.
But for me right now, like, there is no expectation. So I'm kind of just enjoying that and living in that because it won't always be like that.
Yeah.
Eventually, when we do get promoted, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Then won't necessarily become more serious, but there will be that expectation. So I'm kind of just enjoying being in this beginner phase and seeing where that takes me, and hopefully we'll get better with time.
Yeah, definitely. I would say for jiu-jitsu, I'm definitely like still really like beginner. I mean, I think we've like been learning really great fundamentals and basics. But I guess in terms of Muay Thai and boxing, it can get a little bit frustrating when there's like people who, I mean, yeah, like it's totally fine to be beginner, like we were as well. But I think when you're at that point where you're going consistently and you're like, okay, you got to like teach someone every time how to like hold the pads, or kind of like someone might not know how to like throw a jab or a cross, and they're confusing like the numbers. I think at that point I'm like, okay, I'm kind of like using up the whole time to like show you kind of how to do it, which I'm okay to like show other people and like teach them. But sometimes I'm like, okay, I had a long day and like I really want to like be zoned in on my training. So I think that's the only thing or struggle that I'm experiencing. And then, as I mentioned before, like just wanting to balance out strength training and working on stamina and footwork and technique, because that kind of stuff is really important when it comes to our martial arts training.
She's being really nice, guys. She gets really angry. Like, this guy doesn't know anything. He's not hitting my pads right.
I'm talking about, when it comes to you. Yeah. I'm like, hold the pads.
Or some random guy who like shows up like, I'm using like a day pass to come here. And I'm like, get your corporate ass out of here.
I'm nice to everybody. I'm nice to beginners. I think it's only with you I get mad.
Well, I'm a beginner, all right? So,
okay.
But yeah, it's fun. When I go into it, like, I don't feel, I feel like it's good getting the exercise, but I don't get like that feeling of I'm getting my anger out
Yeah.
because my brain has just like compartmentalized anger into such a different place
Yeah.
that doesn't even come out. I'm just like having a good time joking around with people. It's like socialization time. I'm like a dog. Like you take
I'm
them,
like a dog.
you like take them.
No,
to
you
the dog
got that dog in him.
I got that dog in me, but it's not
I
like
don't have the anger either.
it's not like a pit bull though. It's more like a freaking
A golden retriever.
No, I don't like that because then it's like I'm a golden retriever guy.
A husky?
Yeah, husky. Annoying and loud, but fun.
Yeah. Oh, like really,
Yeah.
like wants attention all the time.
Yeah. That's good. That's much more aligned with me. I like.
What kind of dog would I be?
Oh man, I already know you're not gonna like it.
What? No, it better not be those small dogs. I don't like small, like.
Well, then we'll skip this.
No, I want to be like a.
What you want to be and what you are two different things.
What?
Exactly. This is a Chihuahua angle right
No,
now.
I don't like Chihuahuas. I think I would be a. What's that like black dog?
Serious black.
Like the ones that like rich people have, but they're like kind of like
Doberman?
guard dogs.
A Doberman?
They're black. Yeah, I think
Or
so.
a Rottweiler.
I don't know, something like that. I think
Something angry.
yeah,
I'm a friendly dog.
I think I'm one of those things.
I'm a friendly but annoying dog. Like the husky, just yapping. That's actually perfect. I am a husky. But anyways, what were we talking about? Oh, beginners.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure the people who have been training for many years, either in jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai, look at us and are like talking about us not being
Look at
beginners.
noobs.
Yeah, like
But they're really nice though.
yeah. But that's why I don't have any interest or like kind of need to like not get away from being a beginner so fast because you only get to be a beginner once. After a certain point, there's that expectation.
Yeah.
So I'm just enjoying it, but I feel like more I don't know, like through the eye test, I'm learning more with Muay Thai. I guess since we had some boxing experience in the past where like the punching stuff is kind of we have a hang of it, the kicking we're getting used to. But like jiu-jitsu, every time I'm rolling, I'm just like
Surviving.
yeah, I feel like if I'm on top, I only remember the bottom submissions. If I'm on the bottom, I only remember the top submissions. I never know what to do when. I just survive.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun in its own right. Kind of wrestling with my older cousins and stuff is kind of like that same thing. But now the next time we wrestle, I'm gonna be like, bro, I'm about to pull up all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
But even though they're much
Pull you
bigger
in
than
my
me,
guard.
shout out Big Mac.
Shut up.
But yeah, I think it's just fun. I think it's a much needed physical activity and social activity that I needed just in life in general, whether or not I'm learning as much as I can or applying that in practice. I think just being there, showing up consistently through osmosis, it will just go into the back of my head. It's less like a test where you study for something and then in that next kind of opportunity to show what you learn, you're going to do that exact same thing. Because once you roll, everything's coming at you at once. So it's just got to become muscle memory, and then you'll realize, oh, I did actually learn something.
Well, I feel like when you're rolling and when you're sparring as a beginner and as someone who's just surviving right now, because we've been doing it for 4.5 months, I'm absorbing everything that I can that we're learning in class. And even when it comes to sparring with the higher belts, I'm making sure that I'm like asking them actively for feedback. And if I'm doing something incorrectly to like immediately let me know so that I'm learning from my mistakes and my experiences. But I like sparring and rolling with other people, especially the higher belts, because I'm able to kind of take everything that we're learning in class, especially when it comes to like shrimping and hip escapes and different like controlling and submission techniques. I think I'm able to kind of put it together all in one. But a lot of the times I'm like, wait, what do I do here? Because I'm like caught in like a weird position and I'm like, I don't know what to do here, whether I'm at top or bottom. So it's nice to have a higher belt roll with you so they can kind of actively give you feedback and advice while you're rolling with them and they let you work. So I really appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't let you work. And then they just beat you up. And then you're just like, what was the point of all this? Yeah, I won't get into it, but you kind of, martial arts teaches you a lot about a person and how they operate in other aspects of their life. Mm-hmm. If someone is a showboater or takes advantage of a lower belt or someone who hard spars when you agree on going on a light spar, or they get angry at something small, or they're on the flip side calm under pressure. It all applies to how you operate mostly in the real world as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Because in those moments of an actual physical altercation, even if it's kind of controlled and managed, people's fight or flight and base instincts kick in. And then that's how they truly are. Even if the stakes are not that high, physically kind of engaging with someone in a combative kind of form truly shows who people are. And me personally, I feel like I'm a relatively calm guy. So even when somebody does something that I don't appreciate in sparring or rolling, I just keep it collected because I know escalating will only escalate both, and then no one's gonna listen. And also, just in a grand scheme of things, I've learned like people who are older and just people in general don't necessarily take feedback well, and especially not from someone who's by definition below them in terms of, I guess, the ranking system or an age. So you got to kind of like psychologically trick them into believing or kind of adopting what you're trying to convey as a message. You can't just be like, hey man, you're like freaking out. But if like, someone's freaking out with me and I'm calm, and it'll make them look kind of dumb for over exaggerating a move or doing something that might put me in harm's way. And maybe then they'll realize if anything, feel happy that they came to that conclusion themselves and then accept it more, as opposed to me saying it and them becoming defensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm pretty grateful that I've had like good sparring partners and training partners. I feel like so far, everyone that I've rolled with, everyone that I'm sparring with has been really like calm and helpful and always giving me feedback and like letting me work on different chokes, on different submissions, on like my guard, like practicing, like I get to practice escapes because that's one of the most important things to learn as a beginner when it comes to the fundamentals. So I guess like our experiences are kind of different in that sense, but I know you've had some rough experiences with certain
I think it's just dudes sometimes are
guys,
just randomly like that. And it's not always. It's probably like 2 out of 10 that will happen. Most everybody else is just super chill. And honestly, those times where it's not, that's totally fine by me too. That's just the experience of life. Like, you're going to come across people who are like this. That's a test for me. Like, even if I feel like he overdid it or was acting out of kind of, I don't know him for him to be acting out of character. But even if that's his character, it's my job as a person who's not only in martial arts or just a person existing on this planet. How do I operate when something like that's confronted to me? Do I meet them at their level? Do I crash out? Or am I calm? Or do I show them that what they're doing does not affect me? And does that mess with their psyche that, oh, I'm treating this person this way and it doesn't faze them?
Mm-hmm.
So that I feel personally mentally strong in that aspect, because people crash out all the time. And I don't know if sometimes a crash out is deserved and you need to do it, but to stay calm is part of the whole reason why I do this anyway. So
yeah,
it's a good test for me.
Yeah, definitely.
If we can use that as actually a good segue, about personalities within the fighting world, I think one thing we noticed, especially more attending UFC 322, is kind of a further confirmation that the fans of this sport are really, really annoying.
Yeah.
And they're very immature, but I'm sure you could have a lot to say about that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that, meeting the UFC fighters and the athletes was a amazing experience, especially like just seeing like how calm they are and how human they are. And then when you see fans, especially when we attended the press conference, the weigh-ins, the fight itself, the fans are really annoying and they're super like I know it's a fight, but you can tell like who's there to just see some blood and who's there to see who could beat the crap out of who. And, just like the derogatory names that they're calling like certain fighters that they are not rooting for, even though all the fighters are like, obviously have worked so hard to get to where they are. They're incredible athletes and all of them deserve respect. And I could just tell like just the way that they were like screaming, and it was just like really disappointing. And like obviously like they don't appreciate the martial art itself like how we do, or like maybe how some other people do, but you could tell like really these fans are just casuals, and it was just like really annoying having to have them scream in your ear about like
Hmm.
just calling the fighters like really bad names.
Yeah. I feel like that's the interesting aspect of MMA in general as a sport or as a spectator sport is that it's different in relation to other sports in the fact that you don't necessarily need to know the rules because on a base human level, you understand what it means when two people are fighting each other. Whereas there's like basketball and football where there's rules and like this means this points, this means that points. But like if someone gets kicked in the head and they get knocked out, you don't have to be explained what just happened.
Yeah.
Like someone got kicked in the head and got knocked out, which or punched in the face. Like that happens in real life all the time. So people are seeing like a sanctioned version of what would potentially be like a street fight. And that brings in all kinds of people who don't necessarily have to be a fan of the intricacies of what goes into MMA as a martial art or as a skill. It's kind of for them, they're visualizing it as just a brawl. Yeah. They're not looking at, oh, this person did a nice technical move in this fashion. That's why when, even though it's mixed martial arts, when a grappler comes into the fray and is very good at what he does, which is grappling, and in reference to like the Dagestanis or just to the people of like the Caucasus region who are very good at wrestling, people start booing the second they start getting control. And I'm like, I understand the fact, oh, quote unquote, it's boring, but it's not the job of that guy to not engage in that. It's the job of the person fighting him to keep it on the feet or to get out of that. Like, you don't get credit for not being able to have an answer. You know how these guys fight, you know, going into it is going to be like this. It's your obligation to counter it. You're a human being too. You train. That's your job.
Yeah.
And I'm getting more like kind of amped about it because like the first time we saw it was DDP.
Yeah.
And the second time we're seeing it now is Jack Della Maddalena. And obviously they're on a different tier of wrestling, so there's only certain that you can do. But like, he did a good job of like stopping submissions.
Yeah.
And not getting submitted, similar to DDP. But in terms of the fans' perspective, like, I can understand you want to see an entertaining fight, but this is part of the mixed martial arts. Otherwise, just watch kickboxing or boxing.
Yeah, and I would even say that JDM did a better job than DDP did in terms of making sure that he gave Islam a pretty like hard time. Like you could see Islam was really working, and I feel like, I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, you know that this guy is going to come and wrestle and do a lot of control. So it is your job to know how to like prevent that or get back up on your feet. Like that's what they're known for. And at the end of the day, he's just trying to win the belt. Like that's his job. It's not the job to please like every single fan. And like, they just want to see only striking. And even like, Islam is a great striker too. Like he's even shown that in this fight that he has great striking. The way he had like set up, like JDM was in pain and he was making those like crying faces that people were talking about online because I think it was his left leg that was like that got messed up because he's in like southpaw, and then I know like Islam had like kicked that like his like left leg. And then his lead leg, and then it kind of like forced him to like change stance, and because of that, like that's when he went for the takedown. And so he kind of set that up really well, and like they said, it was going according to plan, like what they had like studied his moves and his techniques. So I think he did a good job at that.
Yeah, and I'd give Islam more credit than like I guess in like the previous podcast we talked about Hamzat. Compared to Hamzat, Islam was searching for more submissions. It looked like Hamzat was actually like being like the quote unquote wet blanket, as DDP referred to him as. So I think that's one thing that could be implemented in the future of the UFC is like, if you're going to have control, you need to make you need to stay busy. You need to make a move. You need to search for a submission, because hypothetically there could be a move, right, that comes out where you just get someone in like a full Nelson and just keep them there and just sit there for 5 minutes. And that would be against what I just said of like, you got to let them do MMA, but you can at least encourage more busyness from the person grappling to search for a submission or do something, as opposed to just kind of finding a control position and just holding it, which I think Islam was doing. He was searching for submissions and Kimuras and other things like that.
Yeah. And the Dars.
Yeah. So I think that's the one thing, but overall, like when people like the second it starts grappling, people just start booing, and that's just like a testament to like the mental laziness of the fans and their actual care for mixed martial arts as a sport.
And speaking of the audience, we were able to witness the Dylan Dennis brawl with the Dagestanis.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, I don't remember like what fight it was after, but all of a sudden, like all the way on the other side, we see like a sea of people just fighting each other. And I kind of like felt like it was really unnecessary, that brawl to even take place. And yeah, like Dylan Dennis is kind of annoying and he probably said something stupid and like instigated it, but I think I saw like the Dagestani side kind of throw like the first punches and like initiate the fight itself. And I kind of feel like at the end of the day, like you should be portraying like discipline and self-control. Like that doesn't just go in your training, but it also goes towards like you as like a Muslim and your Islamic values. And you know, I know like a lot of people are going to be like, oh yeah, like Dylan Dennis like deserved it and stuff. But at the end of the day, like both sides were involved in the fight. And I think they were both actually kicked out of the event and sent back to like, you know, but Dylan was held for like 3 hours apparently. And he wasn't like able to get like bailed out or leave. But then like the Dagestanis were able to get like, you know, they got to go back to their hotel room. Obviously it's like entertaining as like fans to be able to like witness that, and it's something to talk about online. But I guess I was talking about it from a standpoint of like, oh, okay, like Muslim fighters who are talking about like portraying that like discipline and self-controlling and having like, you know, Islam be like the root of who you are. Like you should also be portraying that in like public as well.
Yeah. I mean, based off what we were talking about earlier about martial arts and kind of not getting, I guess, rage baited by other people, I feel like sometimes it's all too common that the person who says whatever to you has all the power, and then you responding in the way that you do. And sometimes I have to also question whether it's genuine rage or an excuse to crash out for the fun of, oh, we're going to do a brawl. Like, sometimes I feel like they're just itching for it.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, these people are professional fighters. I'd hate to be the security guards who have to have to break that up.
Yeah.
But
it's just like throwing left hooks.
But like, I mean, part of me is like, obviously, like, Dylan Dennis is a freaking idiot. Like, that's why he's not going to be invited again to any like UFC fight. And you're obviously provoking them. But it would be a lie to say that they don't enjoy necessarily doing that from my vantage point. And I know like Khabib doesn't even, like, when he participated in, I guess, that brawl after his win against Conor, that felt more like
justified, I guess, or
not only justified, but it felt more like it was so personal that his own internal like rage was just festering on that for a long time and built to that, as opposed to like in a moment someone showing you a dumb meme and you crash out and cause a brawl. Like, you didn't have enough time to build up that anger to that Khabib did to kind of justify that. And even Khabib doesn't like how he, like, his actions on that. Yeah, he felt bad about that.
Yeah.
And even Khabib's dad, when he was still alive, had said that he forgave Conor and invited him to like Dagestan to like train and be their guest. Mm-hmm. So I think that's such a great example of who they are truly, and not to judge them on their individual like crash out moments, but as a whole, and to, I guess, follow like Khabib's and Islam's example. Like, I almost never even see Islam crash out. He just seems like the most chill guy.
He's such a chill guy.
He's such a chill guy.
He doesn't let this bother him. That's what I like. That's one of the things I admire about him.
Yeah. So I think that was just an example of kind of the raucousness of being an audience member over there, and just, it was just so annoying having to like. Also, I don't understand. Maybe I'm just a casual. All this woo stuff in the UFC or the fans do, because they did it in Chicago and they did it again in New York, and I'm like this is some like overarching kind of fan thing, but it just honestly pisses me off, and I'm like,
it's kind of annoying.
It's just the UFC fans, especially like, since they're already mostly men, but they all act like children. Yeah, they act like middle schoolers. Yeah. Grown men act like middle schoolers, and I'm like, is it not embarrassing to be like, for example, at the press conference, no matter who was answering the question, no matter who was speaking, someone would just yell, F Ali Abdulaziz, or F Ali, like, obviously saying the full swear word, which I would normally say. But I'm like,
Gotta keep
can
it
we listen to the actual, like, Zhang Wei Li's answering a question? Why are you saying F Ali?
Yeah, that's like
You're being so
unnecessary.
disrespectful, and you're not being funny. You're not being like cute. You're a grown man. You're
And
like,
then they all
you're
start
45.
they all start chanting it. And it's like, why? What's the purpose of, like, what are you getting out of that? You think it's gonna bother him?
At least if Ali was talking and you truly felt that way, then yeah. And I don't even like, it's not that I even like or dislike Ali. I don't know much about, it's kind of, from what I've heard,
Like,
it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But if I looked into it more, I guess I'd know more about why they're kind of so adamant about that. But if Zhang Wei Li or anybody else is answering a question, just relax.
Yeah.
So you're clearly there not for any, like, listening to what the fighters have to say. You're clearly 100% not there because you're yelling in the middle of their answers. So then what are you there for? Just to capitalize on a meme? To say John Pork really loud for no reason?
Yeah, they weren't even saying, they kept chanting John Pork.
Well, because they're like middle schoolers. If you tell a middle schooler not to do something,
They're gonna do it more.
they're going to do it more.
Yeah. And
These are grown men acting like this.
And did you see Full Violence release like it's Chanko shirt?
Yeah.
So like it's not John Pork, it's Chanko.
And they had a moment where Islam said, "Hey, I know it's a meme or whatever, but if you could say it, that would have been like a sweet moment if they started saying Chanko and then everyone comes together." But no, they just kept saying it again because they have 4 brain cells that they share amongst each other.
Yeah, it was really frustrating. Like, especially when people behind you are like, obviously you can buy alcohol at these types of events, but like when people are drunk and they're just like standing and you can't see anything, and you respectfully ask them like, "Hey, can you sit down? I can't see anything." Like, I saw people were breaking out into fights because people wouldn't sit down, and they were clearly drunk, and they were like, "No, I don't want to sit down. I feel like standing up." And I'm like, what is this, like middle school? Like, why are you acting so immature? Like, be respectful of the people who are sitting behind you. But I guess that's a lot to say, like, for them. Like, it's a lot to ask for a 4 brain-celled UFC fan.
And now that I'm thinking about it, I took PTO to go to New York to, like, experience all this. So obviously I had that time off. But I'm also wondering, all these local people are here. I'm like, shouldn't you be working?
Or in school.
Or did they take off to, like, come say F Ali for 45 minutes straight?
Interrupting.
I'm like, you took off from work to do that? Instead of listened for, like, a very, maybe not once in a lifetime opportunity, but a not often opportunity to listen to fighters in real time, in real life.
Yeah.
And you're wasting that just being annoying.
Yeah. Now I understand, like, and kind of like segueing into seeing the fighters in real life. Like, at the end of the day, they're human. And when you see them in person, they have families, they have kids that they're bringing to, like, this event. And they're not these, like, larger than life internet personas. They're simply, like, yes, they are professional fighters. They're on TV and we do admire them. But I think a lot of people kind of overhype them to the point where they act crazy when they see them. Like, we saw a lot of instances, especially when it comes to guys and teenage boys, just shoving their phones in their faces. And I saw a video of, Khabib doesn't like to be recorded, clearly, or have pictures just like taken of him without like him agreeing, I guess, or someone's just shoving a phone in his face and like foaming at the mouth, like, they want a picture. And I think like anybody would be annoyed about that. That's why these UFC fans just have like no respect for human beings. And when we were meeting the fighters, I like made it, first of all, I don't like recording people from a distance. I think that's kind of creepy.
100%.
Like, I would go up to a fighter and be like, smile and like, "Hey, my name is Safia," introduce myself, like kind of create like they're human beings, like introduce yourself as you would any other person, and just be respectful and mindful of their time and ask politely for a photo and just have like a brief conversation. And I think because of that, I was able to connect with a lot of the fighters and have pleasant conversations with them and even ask questions to them and, kind of create that like moment of personability. So that was my experience.
They remember that because if you see them again in the future or whatever, like some fighters we've seen at 319, again at 322, they remember like, "Hey, you're that nice, respectful person who talked to me," and we had like a nice, even if it's brief, conversation.
Yeah.
And those are the type of like the people like who just shove their phone. They're just like in it for like, oh, here's a clouded opportunity to like do something and then like walk away. And these people also more than likely do not train, so they don't even have much to really ask.
Yeah. Or
to get like insight or advice from. Like, what other opportunity do you meet the people who are experts in the field that you're interested in
Yeah.
to ask them those kind of questions. But they don't really care about that because they're just fans of the gladiatorship of it and like, oh, there's blood.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that these fighters are like the most like chill people ever. They're so nice. They take their time to answer questions, and even if they're not able to take a picture, they like apologize and they just like keep it moving. But
And if someone says no, like, don't force yourself and try to take a picture of them or with them. You have to respect it.
or talk smack about them later, like they didn't even stop. I'm like, it's not their job is to be a fighter, not to be
They
like
don't owe us anything.
get stuck in a hallway for however long taking pictures with the like
Yeah,
everybody.
because think about it. Like, if you're a fighter, you're preparing for a huge card. Like, you're on a crazy card. Like, this card was stacked, and you want to like have your best performance. You're cutting weight, you're training, you're attending like the press conference, the weigh-ins. You have interviews, you have responsibilities. It's literally your job. Like, they don't owe us anything. It's obviously nice that they stopped and took pictures and signed things for fans, but I just hate it when people are like, especially when they would see Khabib, like he had his hood up, like he did not want to take pictures with people. Clearly, it's not about him; it's about Islam, right? Like I think that's one of the reasons why he also just wanted to like, because I guess he's just so used to people being crazy for him, and we saw that at another event too, which we can talk about if we want. But they're just crowding him, they're just shouting, they're recording him, and clearly like even with Hasbullah, like he didn't want to be recorded or take pictures with a lot of people, but people would still shove their cameras in his face or try to take selfies with him, and he doesn't really have a way to communicate that in English to tell them to stop. So I found that really, I don't know, just like gross behavior.
Yeah, it's disturbing because like you said before, like these are just people trying to do their job.
Yeah.
And then other people just, in a sense, harassing them. But in the opportunities that we did have to talk to some fighters, I think that they were really nice, and I just wanted to like shout out a couple of them. So we have like Yusuf Zalal, who had like a whole conversation with us and was giving us advice and kind of telling us about how, you asked a great question, like what he eats either like pre-fight and post-fight,
like
what he prefers.
Yeah, like what's your favorite post-fight go-to meal? I feel like I've had like better questions in mind, but that was the only thing in that moment that I could come up with when I'm seeing somebody face to face. And I loved having like the conversation that we had with him because it felt just like normal, like a person,
like a friend.
Yeah, like almost like a friend. And I feel like especially as like an American Muslim, it was like easy to talk to him versus like talking to somebody who might be from like another
Dagestan.
We'll get into that. But yeah, it was really fun like talking to him.
Yeah. Well, that's why personally, like I'm a big fan of people I can relate to, which is why I always lean to rooting for the American fighters. This time I was obviously rooting for Islam, but because I love Islam's personality, and that's kind of what I gravitate towards as well. He's just like a funny guy, and
he's like
doesn't take himself too seriously, but is still like one of the best of all time. So to be at that level, but still be like, just, whatever, I'm just a guy. Yeah. Like, I love that. And a lot of fighters that I like a lot are like that, like Max Holloway and like Dustin Poirier, who I met and was very nice as well. Yeah. And he, like, for example, like, that's why these people, they like each other afterwards. Like, Dustin Poirier went up to Islam when he saw him, I was going to say backstage, but I guess after the fight and congratulated him. Yeah. If you had true malice for someone, like these are people like you physically punched and kicked and attacked, and you're like, I'm happy for what you're accomplishing. That just gives you an insight of these people's characters.
That's true sportsmanship.
Yeah. And I always value sportsmanship. I like the trash talk like during the moments, but at the end when they like come together and like, you know what, we're chilling. I like that a lot. Yeah. And so even prior, like we met well, I was going to say one thing. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, about Islam, one thing I noticed, like, we did get to see him in person. Like, him and his crew walked by. And in general, like when I see videos of him online, especially like in the lead up to UFC 322, when there were fans who were a ton of fans crowding him when he would be going from maybe like from his hotel to his car, for instance, he would actually stop and like sign things for people. And he would actually try to take pictures as much as he possibly could before his security and his team would kind of like push him away and like get him to where he needs to be. So that's like one of the traits that I think that I really like about Islam is that, you know, on top of him being like a funny guy, like making jokes and being super chill, like I think he has like genuine care for his fans. And even if they're kind of, you know, UFC fans can be kind of like annoying, but I think he genuinely likes to interact with fans sometimes. So I appreciate that aspect.
Yeah, for sure. Like no matter where I see him, he's usually always chill. I never see him necessarily out of character. So that's always really nice to see. And even within his like face-offs with like JDM, this guy's just a chill guy. And I've honestly,
he was like, it's very cold.
Yeah,
I laughed so hard, and then JDM's like, yeah, it is.
And JDM, from what I've seen, is also looks super chill. Like, neither of them are in the kind of mode of like, I'm just gonna say whatever like garbage just to promote the fight. Like their skills would speak for themselves, and true fans don't need trash talk to be interested in a high level fight.
Yeah. Another person that we met that I really enjoyed we enjoyed asking questions to was his name is the Angry Dietitian, Charles Stull. I'm gonna butcher his middle name. So I know that you also mentioned that you're interested in competing in jiu-jitsu, and I've expressed that as well, that I definitely want to compete. Like once I master the fundamentals, I want to compete in IBJJF and even smaller tournaments. And one of the questions that I asked him was about he's Islam's nutritionist, and I had the opportunity to ask him, you know, what are some ways that you recommend of getting your protein intake, especially when it comes to not always having halal options. It can be kind of hard depending on like where you live or if you're traveling as well to be able to get your protein intake. So we had a really great conversation where he was giving us advice about our nutrition and different ways to get our protein in, and especially when it comes to like preparing for a competition.
Yeah. And the fact that they take all like that time, something that they'd probably have people pay for, that particular advice, they're just open to just communicating that with you and having like a nice, decent conversation. So I think that's the good part about us being both extroverts is that we're not necessarily afraid of going up to talking to somebody, but we also have enough emotional intelligence to know time and place and what to say and what not to say, and to make the other person feel comfortable.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think you had a great moment of that with Laura Senko, if you wanted to talk about that and your interaction with her.
Definitely. She's one of my favorite people that I met. I absolutely admire her commentary when it comes to her. She's a color commentator and a ESPN sports analyst. And so whenever I see her at, you know, these UFC events and even the Dana White Contender Series, I notice like how, what's the word? Like not intricate, but like I guess like spot on, like in depth, her analysis is of the fighters and their technique. And she adds like a lot of value to the commentary that she's giving to these fights. And I feel like I learned so much just from like listening to her talk, because she also is a black belt in jiu-jitsu and she's also competed. So one of the things I asked her was, you know, I told her that I want to compete in IBJJF as well. I told her about my experience with martial arts training and Muay Thai and boxing and jiu-jitsu. And she gave really great advice about when it comes to competition and just like, you know, don't go into it thinking that you have to win. Just do it and like reach out of your comfort zone and don't have the mindset of like, I have to win this. Just do it in the sense of like, I'm putting myself out there and I'm here to grow and learn. So I just appreciated the advice that she gave me. And it was really nice being able to connect with her and talk with her. I first saw her at the weigh-ins. And I was able to get a selfie with her. And
Mhm.
like, she was like, it was so funny because there was a bunch of guys that were trying to get pictures with her. And she's so nice and was taking pictures with them. And then I'm just kind of like, excuse me. And I come in like this hijabi woman.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, hey, can I get a picture? And she's like, oh, for you? Yes, I'll definitely, take a picture with you.
Mhm.
Thank God there's a girl here, you
Yeah.
know? And so I feel like it was just funny to being able to like connect with her on that point. And then again, we saw her later. And that's when I was able to have a more in-depth conversation with her and ask her for advice. And it was really nice talking to her. And I told her about like my journey, and she was like, oh, maybe one day we'll see you here in the UFC,
Mhm.
which I thought was funny. And she's like, I'm going to remember you.
Yeah, that was so nice when she said, "I'm gonna
Yeah.
remember you."
I'm gonna
like,
remember.
yes,
I was like, I'm
that's
gonna
great.
remember you, and I was like, oh, that's
Uh-huh.
that's such a cool moment.
Yeah, and I think you also had another one of those moments with Tracy Cortez.
Yeah, I have been following Tracy Cortez for a while, and I've been seeing her fight preparations, like videos that she's been posting about how she's been preparing for the fights, and how she talked about how she's originally a wrestler and she's been working a lot on her striking, her boxing. And I watched one video where she was that she had posted where she was training and preparing at the hotel, and I think she has such amazing technique and footwork, and she's so fast. Like her stamina was incredible. Like when I just saw her like preparing, and I think like I was even like watching the video closely to see the way she was like bobbing and weaving and like constantly moving her head and constantly like moving, and it was kind of like this is like something I can even learn from when it comes
Mhm.
to my personal training. So, I just told her like how much I admire her and how I follow her. And I'm so excited to see her, like fight, and can't wait to see what's next for her. So it was a sweet moment that I was able to share with her. And I think she really appreciated that.
Yeah, she kind of opened up and like gave you a hug and like took the time to talk
Yeah.
with you, as opposed to probably all other fans were like, get a picture, get in and out.
Yeah.
Don't have really much to offer them in terms
Yeah.
of a conversation. So I think that was really cool.
Yeah. I love being able to like personally connect with the fighters and the athletes and
Mhm.
even people like Laura, because, of course I would love a photo with them, but to even some people, I didn't ask for a photo. I just had a conversation with them, because you're meeting these people that you're seeing online, on TV, in fights. And I don't want to waste that moment just like, hey, can I get a picture? Like,
Mhm.
I want to actually like ask you a question or talk with you or have like a personable moment with you, because it's something that I'll remember, and it's so like special, And I had that moment with Valentina Shevchenko's like a team member.
Oh yeah, that guy with like the big beard, right? He had like a cool like big
Yeah.
beard.
Yeah, he's like part of her training camp, and I recognized him because of the photos that she posts and the videos of her training, because I follow her as well, and I really admire Valentina. I think she's such a great example of like one of the best female fighters, one of the best martial artists. Like she's defended her belt several times. She's proved time and time again how dominant she is and how skilled she is. She trains Muay Thai. She'll go to like Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand. She travels the world in different countries just to like enhance her training during this camp. And so I had this conversation with one of the trainers slash coaches from her camp, and I just told him like, how much I admire her and how great of a fighter she is, and she put on such an excellent performance. And I'm also a fan of Zhang Wei Li. Like I love her, but in terms of like Valentina's like fighting style, she's also a dancer. So she has like a very unique way that she kicks. And I think that helps her when it comes to her fighting. And not a lot of people can like have that similar technique that she has. And the way she talks about you have to kick through the head.
Mhm.
And I think overall, like I'm such a big fan of her. So I had that great moment with her coach or one of her coaches or people from her training camp. And, I could tell like, he was very appreciated, especially because like, unfortunately, the UFC fans were not necessarily like,
Mhm.
Rooting for her at the event. And I'm sure like, yeah, somebody who like they want to see somebody new like take the belt and something exciting for them. But I'm so happy for her, and like I can't wait to see her like continue to like defend that belt. And it was so cool to be able to talk to him and just like let him know how much I appreciate her and her camp and her training, and that I've been like following along.
Yeah, the UFC fans were giving her the like Islam Hamza Dagestani treatment of just like booing and like just constantly like booing in the back of my ears, to a point where I had to tell them like, "Yo, just shut up."
Yeah, to like relax.
And
But these fans were rooting for Islam and booing JDM, and even Islam expressed like, I'm very surprised. Like usually American fans are not on my side usually, so it's nice to see them like,
first
root for me.
Zoran Mamdani becoming mayor of New York, and then a whole all of Madison Square Garden chanting Islam, Islam. Oh, what kind of alternative universe are we? Multiverse.
I didn't see this on 2025.
But yeah, it was interesting to see that. But in terms of like the people I met that I kind of like talking to, Malcolm Wellmaker was one of them, and
he said salam.
Yeah, he said salam to us. And funny enough, like his opponent, Ethan Ewing. This, first of all, dog. This dude, severe freaking dognosis, all right?
Yeah.
This guy...
Diagnosis.
This guy came in on they called him on a Thursday morning, and then he fought that Saturday.
Yeah.
And cut as much weight as he could, and they fought probably at like a catch weight or something. But on a 2 days notice, UFC debut, comes in and fights a top kind of up-and-coming contender in Malcolm. It was so impressive, and there's videos of him going back to his like construction job afterwards. I could like put that clip right here.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, at first you think it's heartwarming, but then you think like, dang, this guy fought at the highest of levels, at the highest organization in fight sports, at the biggest kind of most prominent arena in the world, and then has to go back to his day job, which is like, man, you could have paid the guy enough of a bonus.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll be leaving soon, because that Cutman,
Tate the Cutman?
Yeah, Tate the Cutman, who we also met and was really
funny
nice.
guy.
He was so sweet. But he even had commented, and he was like, "Oh, he'll be leaving that job soon." Like, to the UFC.
And I think he probably maybe just try to like kind of fulfill his responsibilities probably on the work site, and probably may not be staying there for much longer. But
hopefully, we see him accomplish.
Yeah,
things.
It just felt very like working man's kind of humble, like I don't know where he's from exactly, but like Midwestern vibe of just like, all right, back to the
grind.
Yeah, back to the grind. And I had a great conversation with him as well, and kind of just wished him luck on his career, and like hope he has a long, healthy career.
Yeah,
like avoiding damage. And then Malcolm on the flip side, like these are those kind of like losses that kind of mold you into becoming a great fighter. Like even Islam lost early in his career, and that kind of propelled him to where he is today. And so I'm wishing him all the best as well. He was super awesome and super nice, and I think almost all the fighters I root for in some degree, just based off the fact that they're putting their body and lives on the line for our entertainment. Unless they're like really annoying, then I don't like them. But it's very rare that is to be the case.
Yeah, and I love meeting their coaches too. I think the coaches don't get enough like. I guess the fans like appreciating the coaches. Yeah. And I got to meet Javier Mendez, aka coach, and also coach of Team Dagestan and Islam's coach. And so I had like a very brief conversation with him. He was really respectful and really nice. So it was just so cool to be able to see the people that you admire on top of like all the other people that I met, and having those like pleasant conversations with them and having those like personable moments.
Yeah, and I think you also got a chance to meet with, who was it that you met that you talked? Oh yeah, the coaches of the Fighting Nerds.
Oh yeah,
and then
they were so sweet.
Yeah, they were so sweet, and we'll talk about your interaction with them.
Yeah, so I got to see, I got to meet like Carlos Pratas, and got to get a picture with him, and in UFC 319, I had met him and like taken a picture with him, and also with Karini Silva, the killer. And so when I saw the Fighting Nerds coaches, because I like follow along with these like individual like fighters' journeys, and I recognized them, and I just went up to them. I'm like, are you the head coaches of the Fighting Nerds? And they're like, yeah. And like, so it was Pablo and Flavio, and I just told them like how much I loved. First of all, congratulated them on Carlos Pratas' incredible win, that knockout. Like he just continues to dominate in his career, and like I know he's just gonna go up from here. And then so I also talked about how I really am excited for Karini's upcoming fight in UFC 323, and how I met her, and she's like super sweet. And I just told them like, it's awesome to see like these fighters who like I'm following like be like continuing to rise, and I follow them on Instagram, so I get to watch like their training and their journeys, and they were so nice to me, and they even gifted me the Fighting Nerds glasses. I don't have it with me right now.
I was about to say, you should have brought them.
To bring it, but I did post about it on Instagram. So they gifted me the Fighting Nerds glasses, and they were just so nice. I really loved connecting with them, and those are the moments that I really value when it comes to meeting coaches and fighters, when it comes to these UFC events.
And that's what happens when you're like a real fan. You're interested in the world of UFC and not just like the bloodshed.
Yeah.
And you give props to the people who kind of make it all happen, who are not necessarily front and center, like the coaches.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they appreciate that. And I'm sure that it's also helpful for you to even get even tidbits of advice that you wouldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's really fun.
Like you're getting it from professionals who are at the top of, you know, the fighting game, and just being able to like connect with them on another level that you normally like wouldn't have the opportunity to do so. And I definitely would love to be like more invested in this sort of like world and this realm of MMA and you know, like anything that involves that.
Yeah, we're gonna be seeing Safia ringside doing interviews very soon.
That would be an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
I would love to just like, you know, ask fighters questions and just like do these like, you know, like interviews with them. And I think that's just so fun, especially asking them about, you know, how they're like training camp, their fighting style, their technique. What are they switching up, changing up? Like I always have these questions when I'm like seeing fighters prepare, especially against their opponents, and like what they're doing to prepare for that. So hopefully one day, inshallah.
Yeah.
See.
And like we talked about before, as a people who train, it just means all that more to be obtaining this kind of information, as opposed to going back to our regular lives of like never having to ingest any of the information they give us. At least we can take what they give us and implement it in some minute way into our own lives, and kind of benefit that and take advantage of interacting with people at the top of their kind of industry, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I always imagine myself like thinking like, yo, what if I just locked in and I'm like, I'll be a UFC fighter. But then I'm like watching like NMTA, which is like the National Muay Thai Association, of just people essentially practicing competition. And those people be swinging and banging. And I'm like, I don't.
And those are amateur fights.
Yeah.
It doesn't count against your record.
Part of me, though, wants to do it at least once in my life just to say that I did it. And to like, I'd be happy if I just came out unscathed, as unhurt as possible. That would be a win for me. But I want to do that once in my life. But I think I've probably talked about this on previous episodes, a very impressionable person. And so I always try to like imagine myself, oh, I wish I was that. I wish that was my career. It could be anything. I could be watching a golfer. I could be watching. You should have seen my For You page after I went snowboarding. You would think that I was a professional snowboarder by how every other video was that. I'm like, yeah, okay. You got to do a tail spin. I'm like looking at experts do things without knowing how to get off the bunny slopes.
Yeah.
But in this case, we were like talking about this earlier about like if we were to be fighters, kind of what our like walkout songs would be, and kind of how we would take that opportunity to kind of showcase a little bit of our personality. So I'm sure you've probably thought about it a little bit. Have you kind of thought about what your walkout song would be?
So if I had a walkout song, it would be either Run This Town by Jay-Z and Rihanna or Invincible by Pop Smoke. And I feel like both of these songs represent me in the sense of like having that balance of purpose and also like wanting to be hype, but also displaying like power and kind of like matching like the kind of energy and vibe that I would aim to be as a fighter, and like the message that I'm kind of giving across. Like Invincible, you know, like I'm here to dominate, I'm here to like to win or like be the best that I can possibly be and like showcase how great I can be. But someone who's also like calculated and shows intensity. So those, I think between one of those two songs, one of those would be my walkout songs.
Yeah, that's very a well-intentioned pick. I guess mine is in the similar realm, but I would pick Can't Be Touched by Roy Jones Jr., who was a former boxer, like top boxer, but that just song gets me hype. Like, it just gets me like feeling like I could run through a brick wall.
Yeah.
Like, just like can't be touched, can't be rocked. I'm like, yes, I cannot be actually. I would just like get locked in. But that's like my favorite. Like if I'm working out and that song comes on, I'm imagining I'm training for a fight.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
shout out Roy Jones Jr.
I feel like that's a really good song pick.
Yeah. It was really fun.
It gets like the crowd hyped, and then it's also kind of like representing like who you are.
But on
the message you're giving.
Yeah. On the flip side, kind of what Islam chose and what I think also Hamzat chose is more songs that correlate with their tradition and their culture.
Yeah.
Which it would be cool to do like a Pashto song or like a traditional Pashtun music in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a testament to like how much they implement their kind of culture into this world of fighting. So
I liked JDM's walkout song TNT. I really
that was fun.
It got me hyped. I like that song.
Yeah. But I think there's also like another segue into kind of how much culture matters into fighting and what the Dagestanis bring culturally to fighting, but also how that may kind of interact in, I guess, like the Western world of where this is like the most popular. I don't know if you wanted to talk about kind of your experiences or observations of like cultural, I guess, dichotomies between some of the best fighters in the world coming from the opposite side of the world.
Yeah. So obviously, as we talked about, you know, you see these fighters online, and then you come to love them because of their fighting style and like the funny videos that they do. And so I was really excited to meet like obviously like the people who have been like blowing up on the internet and like you know, like I really wanted to like meet them and like, you know, I asked a couple of them for pictures. But I felt like it was kind of interesting because I noticed a lot of cultural parallels like with the Dagestanis and like the Desi community, especially when it kind of comes to like, and I'm not like trying to backbite or talk smack about anybody. That's not the purpose of what I'm saying. I'm just simply talking about my personal experience. I guess it's because I'm like a Muslim woman and I wear the hijab. So obviously like their like demeanor of like certain fighters that I met, like their demeanor and their, I guess attitude towards me is going to be different versus like a man's, just because of like the culture aspect. But I can definitely tell like the judgmentalness and like kind of like a lot of staring and like that vibe of superiority, I guess, that kind of cultural Desi men portray. And I've felt that, you know, at our gym that we train at from certain like Desi guys. And so I always choose to ignore that and continue about my training and don't let it affect me. But you know, when I met the Dagestanis and I kind of got like a similar sort of vibe, I was like, oh man, this is like totally like the Desi community. Like there's so much similarities, but I obviously respect like people's culture, right? So they're clearly not used to like someone like me, especially in their community that they come from, to be that like open and like I was obviously like very respectful and like mindful, but they're just not used to like seeing me in these types of spaces in this type of like MMA like fighting space. So I think it was more of like a surprise and shock for some of them, which is okay. Like, but it kind of like can be disappointing too because you like, oh man, I would love to meet this fighter and tell them like, oh, how much I love their fighting style and like oh, you're such an elite striker. Like I watched your fight with this person or whatever it is. But you know, at the end of the day, like what's that saying? They say don't meet your heroes or something. Like they're not my heroes, but like just people that I would like look up to and be like, oh, they're so dominant and they're Muslim. And, you know, it's just very interesting to see like the way that they interact and interact with the people in their environment.
Yeah. I agree in your aspect of, I think more so than anything, it's just that they're probably just surprised.
Yeah.
And they're like trying to like calculate, because not only are you just a woman, you're like a hijabi woman. So then your mere presence reminds them of the rules they have to kind of, I guess, operate by, that with the religion that they follow and how they choose to represent themselves. They're like, oh yeah, this is how I should be operating. Whereas if you were like just like an American woman,
I am American. No, I know what you're saying. I'm American.
Freudian
guys.
slip, huh?
Like a
get your immigrant ass out of here.
Like a non-Muslim or like a non-hijabi, because there was an instance, and I'm obviously not going to say names because that's not my intention. I have respect for everybody, like I said before, but there was an instance where I had asked one of them for a photo and it was pretty awkward. I mean, he was nice enough to take one with me. But I felt really bad after for even asking because of the way he looked kind of visibly like no emotion, just super stoic and maybe like nervous or uncomfortable. And I felt really bad even asking. I'm like, damn, maybe I shouldn't have asked. Like, you know, I just like loved meeting somebody who I really admire their fighting style that I've watched online. But then like the next day I saw that same person taking a selfie with like a non-Muslim woman.
Mhm.
And he looked like a little bit more friendlier and like smiling. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. Like I was over here feeling bad for even asking him for a
Mhm.
photo, or, trying to like say congrats. But, the next day I see the exact opposite. So I was
Mhm.
kind of surprised in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, I would not take these things personally because these people don't
No,
know
of
you
course not.
personally,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just an interesting cultural observation
Yeah, because I'm
that
just like, I'm always like experiencing this
that's why
consistently.
I
That's
think
why I'm like bringing it up.
culture trumps a lot of things because we've met Muslim people who are kind of more quote unquote Americanized or
Hmm.
westernized, and we have a normal conversation and they most likely abide by a majority of the same beliefs.
Hmm.
So that's why I like kind of have my association and kind of viewership in relation to the people I relate to more, which is like an American fighter or
Yeah.
a quote unquote Western fighter, because that's all I know either. Like I was born here and that's the culture I grew up in. Like,
Yeah.
and culture trumps a lot of things a lot of times because people don't necessarily always get to implement religion into day to day activity, like how someone interacts with each other.
Yeah.
Like culture plays a lot in social interaction. So I think that was like interesting to see. And I think on their own, they're like a lot more shy.
Hmm.
I think, and I was talking about it with you before, but I think I'm saying I think a lot. I know. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I'm confident.
I believe that people who come from a more collectivist culture where the community matters more than the individual
Hmm.
and to kind of make sacrifices in benefit of the community, which is obviously the type of culture that, like, if you're from Dagestan, Russia, or from the Middle East, or from a region, like, I guess, obviously in the East,
Hmm.
that when you're on your own, your ability to shine as an extroverted person or to kind of have that social acumen and interact with people
Hmm.
and make other people feel comfortable, your skills may not necessarily lie in that realm because your whole life experience is like, oh, I'm with the homies and the boys that I know,
Yeah.
and that's my whole life,
Hmm.
and that's all I need to care about. And I don't need to worry about making necessarily new friends because any new people that would come in would have to be accepted by the community as a whole. And therefore, that idea of social bonding is already taken care of. You don't have to worry about building relationships. Whereas in the West, right, in order to build relationships with people to the extent, especially with strangers, you have to have that kind of quality of going out and talking with them and understanding kind of emotional intelligence of what to say, what not to say. So that person will either become my friend or I can make a statement like, oh, we won't necessarily be friends, but you're like an acquaintance. Like there's a lot of intricate levels of human interaction
Hmm.
that they don't necessarily have to worry about. And that kind of will manifest a lot, especially when they come to like America and are speaking with media
Yeah.
and speaking with fans. There could be that kind of cultural lost in translation.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are very cognizant of that. So we're aware of kind of
Yeah.
what their
It's
thing is.
understandable. I
But like
get it.
people born here or just American, like white people, uh, may not necessarily understand that, especially like kids and like teenagers. And that's why they'll continuously like refer to Chanko of Khabib's team as John Pork, even though he specifically stated that he doesn't like that.
Yeah.
And I get it, it's a meme, but they would say it to his face if they could, and they probably
They
do.
were like shouting John Pork at him, like, can I get a picture in the middle of like
Yeah.
Times Square? And like Hassan was like, yeah, he doesn't like that. So I would,
But
yeah.
they're like we said before, when you tell a middle schooler not to do something, they're only going to do it
Yeah.
more.
And
So-
for me, like when I'm like going up and like, obviously I understand like the cultural barrier, or like, is that the right word? Cultural barriers?
Yeah.
Yeah, like cultural barriers. I understand like it's a different culture and like I grew up here, so I'm very used to like being able to know or comfortable interacting with, men and women, especially like we going to school here and like working in corporate. So I was just trying to be like, respectful and, when I approached like a few of them that I had recognized, because I do watch their fights. I'm not just going up to them because somebody is like an internet sensation or a meme or, like they just recently fought in the UFC. Like I watched like all of their fights and like truly am a fan.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my purpose of
Yeah.
going up to them. I didn't have any sort of like weird or malintent. Just want to put that out there.
And not to have any expectations of people who are like famous, but like the least they could do is not look terrified.
Yeah,
they look like
so
God.
scared?
They look like they had like.
I felt so bad even asking because he looked so
It looked like you had
petrified.
if you had like a freaking Komodo dragon on you, and they're
He
like,
was acting like I was threatening him for a picture, man. I just said, hey, can I please get a photo?
I think that's like that one of those aspects of like culturally lost, like in translation, or like they're not, like you said, they're not used to it. So
yeah, I totally understand.
I wouldn't hold them to that, but I think it's just fun to just be a part of the world and experience these things, good or bad, or it's not even as important as just necessarily just being part of the world.
Yeah. And like one other thing that I just kind of like wanted to like talk about a little bit in terms of like my experience with being more in this world of martial arts and training, especially as, a person who you probably wouldn't normally see like someone like me in this space, that I did get like a weird like comment or like message from like a
crew member.
Like, like a crew member from the Dagestan crew. And he's like he's supposedly like Islam and Khabib's friend, and
I think friend's a strong term. I think he just floats around
an associate, or or he's like the vice president of wrestling of something over there. I don't know.
Well, but now we're gonna get to specifics, so it kind of.
I think there's a lot of different wrestling groups there. I don't think there's.
It's just a guy who floats around in that area.
Yeah, but one of the fighters had reposted me on their Instagram story because on, my story, I was like, hey, this person was so nice and chill and like genuine person. And they had reposted me. And then I guess that's how he found my profile. And then he had like made a comment to me like, you appear to be a Muslim, but you hug other men. And then the emoji was like, and I'm like, why did you feel the need to like comment that on my profile? And like, first of all, I'm not hugging men.
I just like put the arm on your shoulder for a picture.
Just like this, I'm not over here like, honestly, that comment kind of made me feel bad for a while. And I was like literally thinking like, am I really being like a bad Muslim by taking photos with male fighters? It's because
this dude... Sorry, go ahead.
I actually felt bad about myself. I'm not going to lie. Because I was like thinking about it and I'm like, wearing the hijab does come with responsibilities, and I'm not wearing it for anybody else. I'm wearing it for God, to like display my submission to God and also for myself. And I'm not doing it because someone told me to do it. I'm not doing it for the community. It's between me and God, right? And I'm not like nobody is a perfect Muslim, right? Islam is perfect, but we as Muslims are not perfect. And so Islam
the religion.
Yeah, Islam the religion I'm talking about. And I'm not over here like being inappropriate when I'm meeting male fighters. I'm being super respectful and like, Dustin Poirier, he put his arm around me and it's just supposed to be like a friendly gesture. It's nothing more than that. But he just felt that Dagestani guy just felt the need to comment that. And it kind of made me feel bad for a little bit. But then I thought about it and I'm like, if I cared what everybody thought about me and what their criticisms were towards me, I wouldn't be where I am. And I wouldn't be true to my values of fear the creator, not the creation. I don't like, respectfully, I don't care about your comment. Like, thank you for that. But I'm just going to continue to do what I think is best for me and like being the best version of myself and following my passions. And not everybody can understand that or agree. But, at the end of the day, do what makes you happy. And, this is my own personal journey.
Honestly, I can't top that. No one said anything to me.
Yeah.
But
I think there's a lot of hypocrisy on there.
Yeah. Honestly, I took a peruse through his profile, and I think he just wants a monopoly on hugging other dudes and touching Dagestani guys.
Yeah.
So he's like, damn, this person's trying to take my market share.
And by the way, I didn't hug any Dagestani men.
Yeah.
Okay? Let me make that clear.
And first of all, why are you like...
I am a Dagestani hater.
You made it.
I made it, guys. I never thought in my entire years of existence that a Dagestani man would be my hater.
Well, that's just the world, I guess. And it's usually the people who don't do anything who talk the most. So I'm sure the actual fighters and the people who are in the camps don't kind of ascribe to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to like be respectful and do their own thing. But the people who are adjacent to people who do stuff are always the people who talk the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, what he said. Oh, it's always like the typical like associate of the bully who's like yapping the most.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's obviously, you obviously don't take it personally, but
yeah,
it's just,
it's not going to make or break my day.
It's hilarious.
It's
like,
kind of funny
that these people, a grown ass man is on some other like girls like Instagram saying like doing this.
Like, are you even a Muslim?
Like, I don't know, man. It's just funny. But, and compared to, I guess, the Eastern philosophy of kind of fighting and how they kind of interact on the, like, with people in the fighting world, on the completely flip side, there's on the West, in the Western hemisphere, of like within America and the kind of fight culture that we have here, it's a lot more spectacle, a lot more, just how do we bring in things that are irrelevant to sports and make them relevant? And I find it kind of hypocritical because people say keep politics out of sports, but then all of a sudden are having like Dana White wants a White House fighting card. But with all that being said, it does look kind of crazy and exciting.
It looks really cool. I'm not gonna lie.
It looks kind of cool, and based like the fact that they would have it like in the background. So. Not a fan of the administration, but the aspect of having kind of the fight be like on the White House lawn is kind of like that unique spectacle where it's like, damn, Dana White, you got me.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But he even said himself, like in a recent interview, I think on Flagrant with Andrew Schultz, that he doesn't know what the fight card is going to be like, but there's like a lot of speculation. But he kind of more than, if anything, confirmed that John Jones will not be on there for his history of like dropping out of fights and not kind of fighting Aspinall.
Well, it's like a reliable fighter.
But that kind of leaves it up to kind of discussion of who would be on that card. And I don't know if you have any thoughts of who you might think would be on a card like that.
So for the main event at the White House, a card that I would love to see is Islam versus Ilya. And he even mentioned that he wants to fight Ilya. That would be a great super fight at the White House. It would be a fight that everybody wants to see. And Ilya has been also calling him out for a while as well. I think it would be a super fight between two top ranked fighters. But also Islam versus Kamaru Usman would be interesting, especially given Kamaru Usman's like fighting style. He has like a lot of wrestling too. So I think that would be a interesting fight to see.
Yeah, personally, I mean, just from based off of how Islam kind of dominated
JDM.
JDM in this weight class, he feels comfortable not having to cut as much as he used to and still kind of perform at the highest level. And I don't know if he'd want to go back down to, what was it, lightweight? Or featherweight. He was at lightweight.
It was lightweight, 155.
Yeah. So I don't know if he'd want to go back down to that.
Ilya would have to either go up, or they would probably do like something in between, like catch weight.
Yeah, just to get that fight out of the way and take us for bragging rights. But I don't know if he's as interested in that fight as Ilya is interested in fighting him.
Yeah.
Because he's been vocalizing that, and Islam's like, I'm just doing my own thing, getting double champ. And
Ilya like talking smack about him, like go back to your farm and herd your sheep and hey man, what's wrong with that? Like, this is a chill guy. He, like
acting like he's not from, he's not Georgian himself, where that's the whole operation there. They're all from the Caucasus Mountains.
Yeah.
Like,
why are you hating? He lives in Spain now, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, Alex Pereira has stated that he would like to fight John Jones, but obviously Dana White said that he wouldn't want someone like pulling out, but that would be like a cool super fight to see.
Yeah, you got to have some American fighters on this card. You can't just be having the White House card.
Chandler. I mean, I know Conor McGregor said like Michael Chandler would be
they've been trying to do that fight for like 4 years, and he's wasting Michael Chandler's life and training camps and all that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the mere spectacle of just physically being there is going to kind of cover that, but I think they're going to put a lot of effort into just making like a lot of more American fighters there,
Yeah.
which is kind of hard.
Can you imagine like the top fight is just like between a Dagestani and like a Georgian or like someone from like another country, and this is like at the White House? Because I know like I think Laura and Chael were talking about this in like a kick stream, and they were like, we need some Americans in here. Like, we cannot just have like people from other countries just keep like winning and dominating at the White House card. But I mean, I would love to see that though. Like, love to see like, you know, Islam versus Ilya or Islam versus Kamaru Usman, but also like, you know, bring some American fighters up in here too. We need that.
Well, yeah. I qualify Kamaru as American fighter in this case because he's from Philly. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of like a lot of sports that are becoming like that, like basketball. There's a lot of like, foreign kind of I was gonna say fighters, but like players that are becoming at the top of the games. Like just like a lot of sports, like it's becoming like globalized, I should say. And the best of the world are coming, and like world championships mean something now. Like it means like the world. So that's interesting. But seeing how that's gonna play out at the White House will be interesting to see, and we'll see how Dana White ends up organizing that. Yeah,
it'll be exciting for sure. Also, our shirts, New York. This is from UFC 322. So it's specific.
Which one, the UFC part? Yeah.
I think so. I love the shirt.
That's gonna be a thumbnail.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be like this,
like the Venom fight gear.
But yeah, I think we can cap it off of like
future goals in martial arts.
Yeah.
What are your
in the next 6 to 12 months? Where do you see yourself in this martial arts journey? Where do you want to be? What do you expect to do within that time frame?
So I want to continue mastering fundamentals in jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and boxing. But because I do want to compete in jiu-jitsu, specifically in like smaller like matches, but also especially at IBJJF, I will be like focusing more as it comes closer to that time to do so on more of jiu-jitsu. I love Muay Thai and boxing, but I think when it comes to like preparing to compete eventually, like you do need to give more of your focus on that one art, and making sure that you're attending like comp classes and you're keeping up with like your training and supplemental training. So I do see competing in the horizon for me, and just also, like I mentioned before, balancing strength training, your cardio, your HIIT, your explosiveness with the training that we do, the mixed martial arts training that we do. So continuing to like master those fundamentals and absorb as much as I can. But what about you?
I always make this joke that as soon as I hit blue belt, I'm done. I'm not, but that's not true. But I kind of think of it like I want to compete. I don't want to put myself in a position of hurting myself necessarily, which is much more likely in a Muay Thai kind of exhibition or competition. But I think my main goal is to just figure out how to get my body right into like a fighting shape via cardio and weight training, because skills will take you far, but sometimes you have to have like the kind of physical prowess to match and to do what you want to do. Because you can know all the technique in the world, but if you're gassed, you're not going to have technique anymore. So to get the cardio up, to get like the strength up, the musculature up, to not only perform as well, but to take damage as well, to like stretch my legs and to be more flexible. So if I get put into a position in jiu-jitsu, it's not going to be as painful or leave as long lasting effects.
Flexibility is really important.
That's my main thing, is just, I think in the next 6 to 12 months is getting my body right. And then once that's aligned, and the skill will then hopefully match up at the same time, to then turn my eye to like competing. But I don't want to undercut myself by not having the physical ability to match whatever I'm trying to do.
And that also reminds me, how do you say Yuri's last name?
Prohashka?
Prohashka. That reminds me of Yuri Prohashka's training, where he like he tapes his mouth, or he'll like put
Tape his mouth and his nose and just run with no breathing.
sprint, and
Yeah.
apparently that's really great for your cardio and your explosiveness,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what helps him last really long in the fight in the octagon. So
He's like a monk. He
I'm
does
like,
all
come
kinds-
on, man, we got to start doing this, Nadir. We got to
I will not be doing that.
start. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, he's a very like monk-like guy, and I like him a lot just
chill.
because he does this for the love of the art.
Yeah,
Like you could tell, like he lives by like his samurai like Bushido code.
yeah. He got a degree too. He went to school. Did you see that?
You said it like it's surprising, like
No, because like the reasoning behind it was like we're always getting hit in the head, and
yeah,
like, we're not using our.
He got it
mind enough.
afterwards. After his fighting and training, he then got his degree.
Yeah.
Continue
That's what I
his-
meant.
yeah.
I'm not saying someone's uneducated. I'm saying that it's inspiring to see him go after that, despite him being a UFC fighter. Like he wants to like use his brain in a different way to keep it like strong. So I think that's like pretty cool of him.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to see like kind of how he goes about that, and I want to also live by that kind of martial arts code where like your mental is just as strong as your physical.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have any final words for the fans, for the Dagestanis, for your haters, for anybody?
Whatever. I mean, I still love like Khabib and Islam and like these like dominant fighters. I have so much respect for them, and the reason why I love them is because of the discipline and the focus, and like how inspiring it can be to like continue to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, outside like push yourself to be the best that you can possibly be. And so those are some of the reasons why I admire and respect them. But overall, like I have respect for all of the fighters, the coaches, the training camps, the teams, and it would be so cool to one day be a part of that, to be a part of a fighter's training camp and be immersed in that world. And that's something that I, hope that I can see in like my future, just be more invested in this realm. But overall, it was a really great experience, and hopefully we get to experience more cool stuff like that.
Yeah, inshallah, like we'll still be kind of involved in like the fighting world, whether it's in our own training or through other MMA outlets, and just to kind of embrace this kind of energy and knowledge that we can kind of obtain.
And I love supporting like our team when it comes to NMTA or IBJJF or even like the other fights that they have, like the more local fights. Like I love going to that and like supporting our team, and just being in that, like being around that type of energy can be really like motivating.
It feels nice to be part of a team, but
yeah, they're like a second family.
Yeah. I think that's it on my end. If you made it this far, thank you. I promise the next DangerNaak podcast is going to be a movie review or something.
No, it's going to be me coming
It's going
back
to be
and talking about MMA.
triple champ. No, I don't know
I'm
about
going to
that.
be talking about mixed martial arts.
No, she's
I'm going
banned.
to come back and being like, hey guys,
She's
I'm
on suspension from the DangerNaak podcast.
No,
triple champ. Just kidding.
I'm triple champ. I
But
want like a
wish I edited you with like two, what's it called?
Yeah,
Two
I would
belts.
love that.
Oh God, I just gave myself more work. Anyways, thank you for watching. Peace.